Something about the way that you say my name simply puts anyone in the past to shame. You do what you do when you do how you do. I don't want this to end tonight. I want this to last for life. Nobody but you and I for life. What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Exavier, and welcome back to the Jake Exavier Spotlight. What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Exavier, and welcome back to the Jake Exavier Spotlight. And today we have actress Jelani Estelle, so I'm gonna go get her and we can chop it up real quick.
What's good?
Good to see you.
Yes, you
Long
too.
time no see.
Man, too long.
Thank you for coming.
Of course. I'm glad to be here.
So what's going on?
Man, living life to the fullest.
You having a good year so far?
Honestly, yeah, it's crazy. That's already July.
I know.
Like, where did the year go? Like, where did it go? It's crazy.
Crazy.
But we here.
Tell us a little bit about your life journey and, like, where are you from?
I'm from LA, born and raised.
From LA?
Yeah, Baldwin Hills.
All right.
where I'm
So
from.
how did you get into, like, dancing? And
So basically, it's so ironic because when I was a kid, I didn't want to be a dancer. Like in preschool, we had to make like these little like figurines or whatever. Like it was like a cardboard cutout of like a person,
Right.
like for your career. And of course, all the girls were like, I want to be a ballerina. I was like, I want to be a firefighter. Like so when I came to class, they were all looking at everyone's like laid out. They saw mine. They were like, what? But basically, one of my friends was like, hey, do you want to come to this dance class? I went. And the teacher was like, you've never danced before? And I was like, no. And they were like, for real? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, you're like really talented. Like, you're amazing. So that's when I was like 9 years old. But before that, I was into sports. Like, I used to run track, play tennis, like all of that. And then I was like, okay, let me try something different. But yeah, I started dancing when I was 9. And it was really just because it was fun. And then like the older you get, you're like, oh, this could be a career. Like, okay. But then I started acting when I was 10.
Yeah.
So I've pretty much like been doing in the arts since I was like 9, 10. Like, and I feel like it's just fun. Like, well, the older you get, it's like, oh, I could do this as a career. Like, but yeah, especially living in LA, I feel like that's just like a thing that everyone does.
Right.
But I feel like my mom, she didn't want that for me. She was like, I want you to, if you want to do it for yourself or because you want to do it, not just because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
And I just ended up falling in love, and she was like, okay, I guess only if you want to do it, not because everyone else is doing it because it's LA. So yeah.
So since it is LA and everyone is doing it, like, did you have any inspirations behind being an actress or a dancer or anything like that?
I feel like I've been more inspired like recently, just because when I was a kid, I was just like, I'm just doing this for fun. Like I'm just, this is just me doing it.
Right.
But I will say when I was younger, I was really inspired by Keke Palmer. Like she was one of the first people, like when I saw Killing the Beat, I was like, bet, like this is what I'm doing right here. Like, but the older that I've gotten, like I've been able to find like a lot of people who are like closer to my age who like are really inspiring. Like Keke Lane is really inspiring to me. Oh my goodness, Ryan Destiny, Viola Davis, Regina King, like, and ironically, Regina King, her son went to the conservatory that I went to when I was a kid, which is Amazing Grace Conservatory. It's run by Wendy Raquel Robinson.
Oh yeah.
And like, so literally we would have like celebrities would come by and stuff, but her son used to go there. So she's like, technically, she's seen me perform like when I was a kid.
Right.
Like, so hopefully one day I want to work with her because she's amazing. Like, but yeah, the older I get, the more I get inspired by people. I'm like, wow, like this is really possible. Like, it's like really like eye-opening. But when I was a kid, I was just like, I just want to have fun. Like I used to do plays and stuff like that.
Right.
I was like, I'm just doing it for fun. But yeah.
So since you've gotten older and more inspired, would you say your style has kind of evolved a little bit, or maybe?
Definitely. I feel like for me, because I went to Columbia for college, and after that I feel like my style changed a lot into more dramatics. I definitely feel like growing up, I was like a class clown, so I was definitely more comedic and like definitely more like always goofing off. Like I was very focused. I was in like magnet courses, honors courses, but I was just always laughing, like always like just, you know, but definitely since I've gotten older, I've honestly found like a good balance between like comedy and drama. I really love them both like equally because I feel like even in comedy sometimes there's like some dramatic moments, and then like in drama sometimes there's funny moments. So, but yeah.
So speaking about that balance, like, you know, sometimes in the music industry, you know, some people tend to follow trends and sort of lose their individuality. You know, how have you been able to keep that balance and stay individual?
It's definitely been a journey for sure. Like I feel like last year when everything shut down, like everyone says like you have a moment to really sit with yourself.
Right.
But I feel like after I left Columbia, I was in Chicago from LA. I was in Chicago, and that changed my like performance period because it was like more theater. LA is like more film and TV. But when I came back, I was really focused on like giving like agents and like casting directors like what they want. I was like, oh, they want someone like this. Like my headshots, I was like, oh, I gotta be like this. Oh, I gotta wear my hair like this because this is what they want. When in reality, they really want like you, like your true essence. So definitely like this past year, like with my branding and like marketing for like me as an actress, like I'm really like, this is me. Take it or leave it. Like this is how I wear my hair, this is how I dress, this is how I do this. Of course, this still like complements the character, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm not trying to be what's already been done because it's already been done. I need to be something new because the people that I feel like are really making a mark right now, like the trailblazers, are people who are like literally just themselves. Like when you watch their interviews, when you watch like them talking to people, they're literally just themselves. They're not trying to be somebody else. But I find that the people who do that, like try to be someone else, they don't really have longevity. So yeah, they kind of like are really popping for like a year, 2 years, do like movies or whatever, and then you never hear from them again. Like, you know, so, but yeah, I definitely learned to be more of an individual and just really like notice that like I'm enough. Like I'm okay. Like whatever they want, it's fine. But like at the end of the day, as long as I know that I put my best foot forward, I was 100% myself. Like that's all you could really ask for. Like in the industry, period. Like, yeah.
So, I mean, I know everything is starting to open back up now, but like, what are some immediate changes that COVID, you know, brought towards you? Because I know everything shut down and, you know, everyone was stuck in the house.
Well, one thing I did notice that, because when I came back out here, even though I went to Columbia for acting, I was still doing like musical theater out there. So I was auditioning for like Lion King, Aladdin. So I was more used to like that style of dancing. But when I came out here, it was more commercialized, like hip hop, like, you know, whatever. So, but the one thing that I did realize is that when I did come out here, that I was doing more commercialized like dancing, but I realized that like I really am like I would like to just lean more into the acting just because now with everything shutting down, you start to realize that some artists like they don't really care about their dancers. Like they don't really feed them sometimes. They don't really pay them as much as they need to be paid. Like they're kind of just like disposable versus like with actors, like you're the person on the call sheet. Like they're like, what do you need? What do you need? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like for me, I feel like I've learned to like appreciate myself a lot more and like hold myself to a higher standard. And there are some dancers in the industry too who are like demanding that. But for me personally, I found like a big change is like just valuing myself more and also like demanding that from people that I work with, like to just value myself. But I feel like that has to come within first before you can like project that anywhere else for sure.
Well, I mean, like having that strong mindset and, you know, being in this industry, have you experienced any roadblocks with
Oh my God, yes, a lot. Like so many. One big roadblock for me, not just myself, but a lot of my friends who are like dark-skinned actresses is like sometimes the stuff that we get called in for is like, dang, you gotta be a baby mama again, a prostitute again, a stripper again, like. But then when I see my other counterparts, like who are like, you know, lighter-skinned actresses, they get to be anything. They get to be scientists, they get to be mathletes, they get to be like, you know, lead series regulars, like. But I'm finding that in the industry, like with casting, a lot of times the darker-skinned actresses, like, we get pigeonholed. Like, I definitely have been called in for things like chemistry read, like about to get pushed through, and I never hear anything. I'm like, you know what, maybe it's, you know, I don't have control over that, but then I see who they cast, and they end up casting someone who looks the complete opposite of me, someone who is ethnically ambiguous, and I'm just like, I feel like sometimes the only roles that we get cast in are like poor, pregnant, like struggling. And it's like, I'm from LA, I grew up in Baldwin Hills. I didn't grow up seeing that. I grew up seeing like politicians, congressmen, like people in the entertainment industry. So to me, it's just like, that's just like a roadblock that I feel like people need to talk about. Like that's a big thing. Like, and I feel like people are like pushing like, they're pushing like inclusivity and like acting like they're like, oh, we need strong black leads, we need this. But it's like, but what stories are we telling? Because I feel like now a lot of black shows are coming out, but they're mainly about the same thing: drugs, money, hip hop, like, which is fine, but like every story is about that. Like, I feel like everything, like, or football or sports, and it's like, I feel like as a community, we gotta show like our younger kids, like, there's more possibilities. Like, you could be a scientist. You could be, you know, like Hidden Figures. I love that movie because like I've never seen that before. Like I would have no idea that that was happening. You know what I mean? So I just feel like the industry, like a roadblock for me right now is like trying to still be respectful, you know, in the roles that I do accept, but also like declining roles that I'm like, this is not how I want to represent myself. This is not how I want my children to see their mom be like, oh, this is, oh yeah, you're on the pole, Mom. Like, no, like, I don't want, like, you know, but I also do feel like those stories do need to be told. But at the same time, I feel like we're repeatedly just saying the same thing.
So with all of that, how do you stay inspired? Like, how do you handle those situations?
Look, people call this pandemic a blessing and a curse. But one blessing that I did get from it, where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write my own stuff. So I'm writing my own short film where I'm the lead character. And the person who is basically like my supporting character is also a dark-skinned person, a dark-skinned black actress who are just both normal people. Like, there's no baby daddies, we're literally just normal people just living our lives, kind of just discovering who we are. But I feel like what's helped me a lot is just creating my own stuff, because it's like, I could keep talking and talking about, we need to do this, we need to do that, but I don't have the platform yet to, you know, like, say these things and actually be heard. So I'm like, you know what? My form of like, I guess like protest is like, I'm gonna make my own thing.
So, I mean, you've been writing your own projects. Like, what other projects are you working on right now?
So this is the first one that I've ever written. And I love podcasts. I love interviews about, like, I usually watch them about actors, but recently I've been watching them about like writers and like the process. And since it's a film always takes a lot longer than like TV, just because it's like TV is just like that. But it's so funny because I think I just wrote like one scene, like it was like a 3-page like scene or whatever that I just wrote last year because I was bored. I was like, let me write a scene, put it on tape, you know, whatever. And people were, I think I sent it to like a couple of my friends who were writers, like on TV shows. Like one of my friends writers on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and he was like, this is amazing. Like, this is hilarious. He was like, is there more? And I was like, oh, like, you want more? And they were like, yes. And even my friends who aren't actors, they read it and they were like, I want more. And I was like, oh.
So with everything you've done, you know, acting and dancing, like, what was your most memorable project, you would say?
I would say my most memorable project was, I think they're still ending production in it, but it was a project that I did. We were filming it for like 2 years. It was another short film. It was called Cuffed. Yeah. And it was from CSUN. It was like one of their short films or whatever for one of their like, I think like senior theses. And it basically was like based on police brutality. But the one thing that I can say that made it really memorable was that they were like, the thing about acting is like you never have met these people before, but you play like their brother, their sister, and you automatically have to make a connection. Right. So I think my second or third callback, I was like, how to see my brother. And I had never met this guy before, like, but we instantly clicked and we're like still friends to this day. And as we're doing production, we're rehearsing and stuff like that, come to find out the director, his mentor is Sterling K. Brown. Oh. And when he said that, I was like, wait, what? Yeah. Sterling K. Brown, like, he gonna be here? And it was like, yeah. So he ended up like coming to set. And like, he wasn't in the film, but he was really there to just like guide them through it and really like, you know, reassure them. And the fact that it was something like the subject matter was like, at that time, I think it was like, we filmed it like, I think right before we shut down, and that was like the height of like police brutality. Right. And it was like basically a story about like just two boys, like how I said, two regular boys. One is like, I guess like I would say like hood, and the other one is just kind of like studious, very nerdy, and like, you know, like these two boys like going to school, just having a great day, and like going to the liquor store to get some snacks or whatever.
Yeah.
And then just because of like mistaken identity, like their life can change. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's a real story. Like that's a story that some of my friends have told me. Like some of my friends have degrees, college graduates, like, you know, MFAs and everything. And it doesn't matter. Like when you get pulled over, like they don't care. All they see is black. And it's like, it just really meant a lot to me because I've always wanted to do a movie like that. And then just to do it like with people who I feel like are like lifelong friends. Like I literally talked to him like yesterday and I was like, man, it's so crazy that we did this movie together.
Okay, so I feel like, you know, mental health is something that, you know, people don't really touch on and talk about enough. So like,
Yeah.
what do you think about mental health then, especially for creators?
Yeah, I feel like this past year, my mental health has been tested to the extreme, like to the extreme, to the point where I was like, whoa, like there would be points where I would just sit at home and just be like, wow, like I feel like I've definitely gotten a chance to reflect on a lot of things. And I personally feel like recently I've become like a strong advocate for mental health, especially among black people, because I just noticed so many things like in the black community that like are just like brushed away. Like if someone's really feeling some type of way, like they're really sad, for black people, especially black and brown people, they're just like, oh, it's fine, or oh, you're good, or oh, don't worry about that, or oh, stop crying, or you know, like it's really just kind of like swept underneath the rug. And I realized that when I sat with myself and realized how many things were swept underneath the rug in my life. Like growing up, like my parents, of course, like they definitely, some things that have happened to me, they're like, oh, it's fine, like it wasn't that big of a deal, like stop crying. And it's like, no, like that really hurt me. But I feel like it's because their generation was also taught like, you know, shut up and get back to work, or you got more things to worry about, or like you should be fortunate, and you know, all these things. But also this last year, I really started exploring like yoga. And yoga is something that I feel like has connected me really closely with my mental health and also like God. Like some people when they do yoga, like they definitely, it's like a Buddhist tradition, but when I don't really know too much about Buddha, so like when I do it, I literally talk to God, and I feel like that's where we connect. And I feel like recently I've been advocating for a lot of my friends to like try yoga and also journal and also go to therapy. Like I have a therapist now, and we talk literally, like, of course, talk about everything, but like we talk about everything. And it's like to talk to someone who is like literally completely like unbiased, like they have know nothing about you. They're just hearing what you say, and they're hearing like these certain triggers, and they're hearing like, oh, wait, you said that, you keep saying that, like what does that mean? Like someone who really is invested in unpacking all these things for you is just like, I feel like we all need it, like especially as black people, because I feel like there's so many things that we're told to like not express, or like so many things that we're told to like just not say. And like especially when it comes to like other races, like it's like, oh, don't talk to them about that, or when they come around act like this. And it's like that for someone's mental like health is just like, it's like daunting, especially being in the industry. For sure being in the industry, because I recall probably when I first came back out here, I graduated 2017 from Columbia, and I was doing some short film. And of course, like the set was majority white, and I was probably like, I played like a nurse or something like that. And we were all talking like craft services, and everyone was asking like, oh, where are you from? Where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from LA. He was like, oh, what part? I was like, Baldwin Hills. And this white guy goes, oh yeah, that's crazy that you made it this far. Like, isn't that like a rough neighborhood? Like, isn't that bad? And I was like, what? Like, to me, I was like, but because I was on set, I was trying to be professional. You know, I was trying not to, you know, like, that's another thing in the industry. You don't really want to say anything to come off as like the angry black woman. But when he said that, I really got angry, because it's like, you know nothing about this neighborhood. Like, I don't know who told you that, but I feel like instances like that, like, mentally is like, ugh, like, it just makes me mad, because it's like, dang, like, I don't want to always be perceived as angry when I'm passionate, but it's like, I'm very passionate. So it's just like, it's just hard sometimes to like make that differentiation. Like, but I definitely think that mental health is something that everyone needs to do. Like I very much encourage everyone to journal. Like even if it's not every day, like every other day, or whenever you feel something, journal, talk to yourself out loud, like meditate. Like I do guided meditations like on an app, like on, I think it's like on Calm, like just because like sometimes it's just good to just sit with yourself. And I feel like some people don't like sit with themselves sometimes, you know, like they're so busy being out, partying, and they don't really sit with themselves. But I feel like this past year allowed me and other people to just sit with themselves and just realize like, okay, what do I need to figure out in my life, you know? But yeah, I definitely think it's super important, for sure.
Well, I want to thank you for coming and sharing everything with me and
Yes.
chopping it up, and it was great seeing you.
Of
I can't wait to
course,
work with you again.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Of course.